For decades, SWIFT has been the invisible backbone of global finance. Every day, it processes trillions of dollars in payments, connecting banks across continents. But it's slow, expensive, and opaque. Transactions that should take seconds can take days. Fees pile up, errors happen, and yet, for years, no one had a viable alternative until now. Ripple and Stellar are quietly rewriting the rules. These aren't small upgrades or incremental tweaks. They're sweeping overhauls of the financial plumbing that moves value around the world. Ripple has been expanding its on-demand liquidity, ODL, and cross-border payment corridors, connecting countries and currencies in ways SWIFT can't touch. Stellar is building bridges for real-world remittances, tokenized currencies, and financial inclusion, enabling transactions that move almost instantly for fractions of a cent. This isn't just a tech story, it's a global adoption story. Banks, payment providers, and fintech startups across Asia, Europe, and Africa are running pilot programs, testing how quickly and cheaply money can flow using RippleNet and Stellar. Some projects are so efficient that traditional rails feel outdated overnight. Imagine sending $10,000 across the world and having it arrive in seconds instead of days, with almost zero fees, full transparency, and no counterparty risk. That's the reality Ripple and Stellar are engineering. And when these systems scale, the impact is monumental. SWIFT could go from indispensable to optional. For holders of XRP and XLM, or anyone watching the evolution of global finance, what's unfolding isn't speculation. It's a structural shift, a once-in-a-decade moment where networks designed for speed, transparency, and interoperability could redefine how the entire world moves money. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly why these upgrades, partnerships, and cross-border pilots aren't just nice-to-haves. They could be the foundation for a financial system that makes the old one look prehistoric. Stay tuned, because this could change everything about how we think about money, payments, and global finance. Ripple's tech upgrades and cross-border power. Ripple has spent the last decade quietly perfecting a system that many only now realize could reshape global finance. At the heart of it is on-demand liquidity, ODL, Ripple's flagship solution that uses XRP as a bridge currency for instant cross-border settlements. Unlike traditional payment rails, which can take days and involve multiple intermediaries, ODL allows transactions to settle in seconds, often with near-zero fees. But speed alone isn't enough. Ripple has been focused on scalability and reliability, ensuring that banks can process high volumes of payments without worrying about delays or errors. Recent upgrades to the XRP ledger have improved throughput, transaction confirmation times, and interoperability with legacy financial systems, meaning adoption by institutional players is now faster and easier than ever. The global pilots are where Ripple's strategy becomes truly tangible. Partnerships with financial institutions in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia are testing corridors where multiple currencies flow seamlessly through the XRP ledger. These tests aren't hypothetical. They are real transactions, moving millions of dollars across borders, proving that RippleNet isn't just a blockchain experiment. It's an operational alternative to SWIFT. Regulatory compliance is another key upgrade. Ripple has embedded features in its ledger that allow transactions to meet anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer, KYC, requirements. This isn't just appealing to banks, it's essential. For mainstream adoption, a payment system must be secure, auditable, and fully compliant. Ripple has spent years perfecting that balance between decentralization, speed, and regulatory trust. The takeaway? XRP isn't just a token. It's the backbone of a ready-to-scale cross-border payment network. And as more banks complete pilot programs and go live, the system Ripple has built could start replacing SWIFT's slow, expensive, and cumbersome network, one corridor at a time. Stellar's upgrades and global payment bridges. While Ripple has focused on large financial institutions and high-value corridors, Stellar has taken a complementary approach, building inclusive, accessible payment rails that span both traditional finance and emerging markets. In 2025, Stellar's upgrades aren't incremental. They're a full-scale reinforcement of the network's ability to move money efficiently, transparently, and at almost zero cost. At the core of Stellar's network is the Stellar Consensus Protocol, SCP, which allows transactions to settle in seconds with minimal energy use and near-zero fees. Unlike Ripple, which leans toward institutionally vetted validators, Stellar is open-source and highly decentralized, making it ideal for smaller banks, fintechs, and even nonprofits. This architecture allows Stellar to connect with local financial ecosystems that might otherwise be left out of the global payment infrastructure. Recent updates to the Stellar network have enhanced its scalability and asset management capabilities. Now, issuing tokenized currencies, stablecoins, or fiat-backed digital assets is faster, more secure, and easier to integrate with existing payment systems. This isn't just for large banks. It enables microfinance providers, remittance services, and NGOs to move money globally with unprecedented speed and transparency. Stellar is also actively building bridges for cross-border interoperability. By connecting local anchors, regulated financial institutions that issue tokens representing fiat currencies, with the wider Stellar network, the platform enables seamless exchanges between different currencies and assets. For example, a small business in Africa can receive payment from a European client instantly, without intermediaries, high fees, or delays. These upgrades make Stellar a practical and operational alternative to legacy systems for both high-value and everyday transactions. Strategic partnerships are another key component. Stellar has collaborated with stablecoin issuers, fintech innovators, and international payment providers to pilot global payment corridors. Each pilot demonstrates that XLM can not only move money, but also integrate with local regulations, compliance standards, and real-world financial systems. The result? A network that's ready to scale for both institutional and retail use. Here's the reality. Ripple and Stellar are targeting different niches within the same problem: fast, cheap, reliable global payments. Ripple focuses on banks and large-scale cross-border settlements, while Stellar focuses on accessibility, financial inclusion, and tokenized payments in emerging markets. Together, they represent two sides of a movement that could make Swift's decades-long dominance obsolete. The stakes are enormous. Every pilot, every upgrade, every partnership is a step toward a global payments ecosystem where money moves like information, instantly, transparently, and without friction. And Stellar isn't just ready to participate, it's ready to lead. The Ripple and Stellar threat to Swift. Swift has been the backbone of global finance for over 40 years. It moves trillions of dollars every single day, connecting banks across continents with standardized messaging. It's trusted, reliable, and deeply embedded in the global banking ecosystem. But it's also slow, expensive, and inflexible. Consider this. A business in Europe paying a supplier in Asia often waits 2 to 5 business days for funds to clear. Each intermediary bank charges a fee, sometimes hidden. Errors can take days to resolve. And the system was built decades ago, before the rise of real-time digital transactions, stablecoins, or blockchain. In a world moving at the speed of information, Swift feels like a dial-up connection in a fiber-optic age. Enter Ripple and Stellar, two networks quietly orchestrating a structural challenge to Swift's dominance. Ripple's institutional assault. Ripple's approach is direct. Replace the slow corridors with instant settlement rails. Its on-demand liquidity, ODL, system leverages XRP as a bridge between fiat currencies, enabling cross-border transfers in seconds, not days. Banks can settle high-value transactions without tying up liquidity in correspondent accounts. Recent upgrades have made RippleNet even more compatible with legacy banking systems. By integrating ISO 20022 messaging, enabling advanced compliance protocols, and improving transaction throughput, Ripple ensures that banks can adopt its system without tearing out existing infrastructure. Each successful pilot, from Europe to Asia, demonstrates real-world scalability. Millions of dollars move in near real-time at a fraction of Swift fees, proving that traditional rails aren't just slow, they're obsolete for the modern era. Stellar's inclusionary strategy. Stellar complements Ripple by tackling the financial corridors Swift cannot efficiently serve. Its Stellar consensus protocol allows near-instant settlement, almost zero fees, and decentralized validation. Anchors, regulated financial institutions issuing tokenized fiat or stablecoins, create seamless on-ramps to the network, making microtransactions, remittances, and low-value cross-border payments practical at scale. Where Ripple targets banks, Stellar targets accessibility. Retail payments, remittances in Africa, Asia, and South America. These are areas where SWIFT has historically struggled due to high costs, complexity, and slow processing. Stellar's network allows small businesses, NGOs, and individuals to send and receive value globally in seconds, with total transparency. The two-pronged disruption. Together, Ripple and Stellar form a dual-front challenge to SWIFT. Ripple, high-value institutional corridors, replacing correspondent banking networks with instant settlement rails. Stellar, low-value, high-volume payments, financial inclusion, and tokenized asset transfers across emerging markets. This isn't theoretical. Banks are actively running pilots. Fintech startups are integrating these networks. Regulatory frameworks are adapting to accommodate compliant blockchain-based settlement. And the proof is visible in corridors that were once bottlenecked by bureaucracy and delay. The real danger for SWIFT isn't just that these networks are faster or cheaper. It's that they offer transparency, programmability, and compliance at the same time. They bridge the gap between legacy finance and blockchain-enabled digital assets, creating rails that can support both CBDCs and tokenized assets, while ensuring banks meet AML/KYC standards. Imagine the implications. Trillions in cross-border payments flowing in seconds, microtransactions and remittances finally efficient, tokenized assets seamlessly integrated, and SWIFT relegated to a backup system rather than the primary highway. This isn't hype. It's the next structural shift in global finance, quietly unfolding while most investors are distracted by price charts or memecoins. For XRP and XLM holders, this is the moment of convergence. Utility meets adoption, technology meets regulatory compliance, and blockchain moves from alternative to essential infrastructure. By the time mainstream media catches up, early participants could already be witnessing the shift from legacy dominance to blockchain-led global payments. Real-world pilots, partnerships, and adoption. The story of Ripple and Stellar isn't just about technology, it's about execution. Both networks have moved beyond white papers and theoretical use cases into real-world adoption, proving that blockchain can challenge SWIFT's decades-long dominance. Ripple's cross-border pilots. Ripple has been running live cross-border corridors across Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and Latin America. One example is its corridor connecting the Philippines to Japan, where remittance payments that once took 2 to 3 days now settle in seconds using XRP as a bridge currency. Similar pilots in Europe and the Middle East show banks moving millions of dollars in real time, reducing operational costs and minimizing counterparty risk. RippleNet's partnerships with major financial institutions, including Santander, Standard Chartered, and SBI Remit, demonstrate institutional trust. These banks aren't experimenting for publicity. They're adopting RippleNet as a viable alternative to SWIFT for real-world transactions. Each successful transaction builds confidence in the network, creating a snowball effect as more banks join and liquidity deepens. Stellar's global reach. Stellar has focused on inclusion and accessibility. Its network of anchors allows financial institutions to issue tokenized fiat and stablecoins that are globally transferable. Stellar has enabled microtransactions, remittances, and digital currency pilots across Africa, Asia, and South America. One high-profile example is Stellar's partnership with IBM to build the WorldWire payment system. This platform connects banks and payment providers directly on Stellar's network, allowing instant settlement of tokenized currencies. Another partnership with Circle enables USDC issuance and cross-border transfers using Stellar, opening up corridors for businesses and individuals alike. The adoption momentum. Across both networks, adoption isn't hypothetical, it's measurable. Banks and financial institutions are actively piloting and going live on RippleNet. Emerging markets are using Stellar to facilitate affordable remittances and digital payments. Stablecoin issuers and fintechs are leveraging both networks for compliance-friendly, high-speed transactions. Tokenized assets are beginning to move on these networks, signaling a readiness for the future of digital finance. This adoption proves a key point. The technology works. The rails are live, tested, and increasingly trusted. Ripple and Stellar aren't waiting for regulators. They're collaborating with them, ensuring compliance while simultaneously proving real-world efficiency. The implication is clear. These networks are no longer alternatives. They're becoming the default for global value transfer. Every successful pilot, every partnership, and every live corridor is a step toward a world where SWIFT is no longer the only option. The shift from legacy payments to blockchain-enabled rails is quietly accelerating, and the early movers in XRP and XLM could be positioned at the center of a global financial transformation. The window of opportunity. The global payments landscape is standing at the edge of a turning point. For decades, SWIFT has been the unquestioned highway for cross-border transactions. But now, two faster, cheaper, and more adaptable networks, Ripple and Stellar, are not just challenging it, they're building the replacement in plain sight. The tech upgrades are done. The pilots are proving themselves. The partnerships are forming across continents. And while most of the market is hypnotized by Bitcoin's next halving or Ethereum's gas fees, the real structural change in finance is unfolding in the rails beneath their feet. This isn't a meme coin story. This isn't a pump-and-dump narrative. This is about the core plumbing of the financial world being rewritten in real time by two projects whose utility is finally meeting global adoption. For XRP and XLM holders, this could be the most pivotal moment since these networks were launched. Because when the tipping point comes, when governments, banks, and fintechs all begin routing trillions through blockchain-enabled rails, there won't be time to wait and see. The winners will already be positioned. So here's the question. Will you be watching from the sidelines as the next global payment system is built? Or will you already have your stake in the rails of the future? The infrastructure shift has started. The clock is ticking. And in the race to replace SWIFT, early action could mean everything.